Hello everyone, welcome back to part number 2 of our Long Dark tutorials series, and you join me a little bit further away from where we left off. I've come round the corner, I'm on Mystery Lake, I'm actually on the lake, and I make my way around to Camp Office, which is a large building around to the right hand side here. We are going to be looking today at the user interface menu and the controls of the game, so basically just a quick talk through how you move around. So we'll start with that. And then we'll have a look at the menus and all that, how you access various different things in the game. So it's a fairly straightforward first-person game. WASD to move around on the keyboard, and we also have the mouse to look around, which controls which direction you're pointing in. So that's all fairly straightforward. You can't jump in the Long Dark. So if you're used to being able to jump in games, you can't actually jump in the Long Dark. One thing you can do though is crouch, and that's the control key. That allows you to crouch. That's good for hiding, when you're trying to sneak up on something to hunt it, or to try and avoid being detected by it, and also to get through certain areas in certain locations where there's obstacles to get underneath. Something else you can do is sprint. So if you press and hold the shift key, you will sprint. You can see your sprint meter down in the bottom right hand corner there. As that depletes, obviously you will lose the ability to sprint when it gets to the bottom. Sprinting affects your tiredness level, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about... Okay, we'll ignore the affliction. We'll talk about those a little bit in another video. But we'll talk about the various survival elements, how that elements of it works, and how sprinting affects it, and how various actions affect those in the next video. But right now we'll just go through the controls. So that's how you sprint, and you can see the sprint bar depleting, and the mournful music playing as we have a nice sunset coming up. And we're coming up on Camp Office. Here it is. This is Camp Office. So we've done the bulk of our moving around. Now, there's certain things that I can't easily show you because I don't have the items yet. But once we get inside Camp Office, I'll show you through some of the other controls. And the first one I'm going to show you, left mouse button is your interact button. That will pretty much interact with anything. So there's the door. So click and hold the button. And there we go, we're inside. You have to click and hold it. If you just click it, it doesn't do anything. You have to click and hold. And then you will interact with the object, and that will bring us, in this case, inside the door. So we're now inside Camp Office. And there's lots of things in here that we can interact with. So we can pick things up. If it's a pickable object, we can pick it up. Water bottle. So click that button. And we can either decide to drink it straight away by pressing the space bar. Take it by pressing right mouse button, or leave it behind by pressing... take it by pressing left mouse button and leave it behind by pressing the right. So I'm going to take it. That puts it in our backpack, and I'll show you that in a minute. So that's how we interact with objects. We can just click on them. If it's something, if it's an action through coming through a door with that little circle icon there, you need to press and hold the button. If it's just an object, we can just click it to pick it up. So that's how it works. Storm Lantern, we'll pick that up, and that means I can show you how to equip items. So you've got some keys across the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, and what have you. Button number 1 goes through your light sources. So I have a flare, and to strike that flare, again, is press and hold that left mouse button. If I want to put it away, I can press H, and that puts it away. Okay, bringing it back out, press the 1 button again, and that switches to my next light source, which is my Storm Lantern. And I can place my Storm Lantern down on the ground by pressing the right mouse button and then releasing it when it's in the location. Press the left mouse button to put it down. Okay, and I can pick it back up again. And I also have, or I should have, some matches. Again, I can strike those to light them. The number 2 key is weapons. I haven't got any, so I'm not going to see anything. I also don't have any decoys. You can drop a decoy with the 3 key, which basically drops a piece of food on the ground to try and scare wolves and things away. I can't start a campfire indoors, that's key number 4. We'll talk about lighting fires and campcraft in another video. So basic key controls, 1, 2, 3, 4 across the top, let you do various different things. Let's press H to get rid of that match. So there's the basic controls, fairly self-explanatory, nothing particularly complicated in the controls. So what we're now going to do is have a look through the menus and the on-screen displays. Now you can see various bits of information popping up on the screen. This is all stuff that's important to you. As you've just noticed, I had a hypothermia had healed, but I also got hypothermia affliction. Now we'll talk about the afflictions in another video, but they always pop up on the right hand side about halfway up if you have an affliction or something you need to be concerned about. It will pop up there on the screen. Across the bottom you can see I have a little temperature gauge. That tells me that one of my 4 key survival elements is dangerously low and is going to start causing me some problems. They're invisible on the screen until they're potentially going to start causing you an issue, then they appear. Unless, of course, you bring up the main on-screen display menu, which is done by pressing and holding down the spacebar. You have to hold it. If you let go, the menu goes away. So press and hold. That brings up the main on-screen display menu. This brings up all 4 of your key survival metrics. So these are the things that you need to be looking after to keep yourself alive down at the bottom. You also have your condition meter in the bottom left hand corner, so this shows how it's essentially a health bar. So obviously the higher this is, the more white it is, the better your condition. If it drops all the way down here and goes red, you're at risk of dying. If it runs out completely, you die. And in Survival Sandbox, it is permadeath. If you die, that's it. You can't reload, that's the end of the game. So you need to make sure that you don't let this drop too low. We'll talk about how you look after your condition and things when we talk about the survival metrics. So that's where the display is. Up here in the top right hand corner we have our clock as such. There is no time or specific time or clock in here. It gives you sun and the moon to tell you what time of day it is. So right at the moment it's just going dark, it's at dusk. The moon is coming up, the sun is going down. When the moon hits halfway up here, it's midnight. And obviously when the sun's up there, it's midday. And when these two swap round, we're coming up to daybreak. So that's how you kind of judge what time of day it is. You can also see, because it's going dark, you can see behind the menu, the outside world is actually gone dark. So it's obviously going into night time. In the middle here is your main menu. This is how you access pretty much everything. These are the quick access options, so these allow you to quickly access certain objects and certain things, and this brings up the main menu. So a quick look through the various different options. Drop a decoy, again we can do that from here, but we haven't got any, so we can't do anything. Same goes for weapons, we can access our weapons here, but we haven't got any. Navigation is a whole new ball game. If we bring this up, we can open our map. It's blank at the moment because you have to draw your map. So we can't see a map at the moment. We'll talk about maps in another video. Campcraft gives you access to making campfires, passing time, sleeping in your bedroll, and building a snow shelter. And again, we'll talk about all of these in another video. The first aid menu brings you options for first aid medical supplies that you have. I've got some antibiotics. There's also painkillers, bandages, and various other things. So if you have an injury or an affliction, you can get access to the things you need to treat it quickly through this quick access menu. Drink brings up everything that you have that's drinkable. So this is cans of drink or water that you can drink. And again, click on it and you will drink. So there we go. So again, just accessing things through that quick access menu. Light sources, same as pressing the 1 key, it just allows you to select your light sources. And food works in the same way as drink. Any food that you have, you can pick it up and you can eat it from here. And we'll talk about food condition and things in another video. But the main menu that you're going to see is this one, the status menu. So if I click that, this brings up the main status menu, and there's an awful lot going on in here. Obviously we get slightly more detailed view. It's worth mentioning that the game is not paused while you have this menu open, so your various metrics will continue to drop. Your condition can potentially continue to drop as well, so the game does not pause when you have this open. You've got your 4 key metrics here, so you have your temperature, your hunger level, your thirst level, oops, I've got that wrong, your tiredness level, sorry, your thirst level and your hunger level. You need to keep those all up in the white in order to survive. If they go red, your condition will start to drop. However, it's part of the game that these will eventually start to go red, and you just need to manage them and manage your condition drop to make sure that you don't let it drop too far. So it's all about kind of taking those calculated risks, and we'll talk about that again when we talk about these in a bit more detail. You've got your calorie level there, which relates to your food metrics. So again, that's how many calories you have on board, which you take in from food. Down here we've got our temperature system. So this tells us what the ambient air temperature in the room is and what the wind chill factor in the room is. So obviously inside we're not going to have anything there, but if we're outside and the wind's blowing, we'll have a wind chill factor there. And this feels like temperature is the actual temperature that affects your temperature metric. And that effect is affected by your clothing. So if you're wearing good clothing, it gives you temperature bonuses which cancel out these two. So your feels like temperature is essentially your clothing cancelling out these to give you this. So as you can see, we're wearing clothing equivalent, giving us a +3 bonus, which cancels that out and makes everything 0. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about clothing. Here, this does show our clothing, shows our general condition, it shows the clothing that we're wearing. We'll talk about clothing in a little bit more detail in a second. Our condition bar is down at the bottom. We're at 95% condition at the moment, which is pretty good. We don't have any afflictions. If we had any medical afflictions, they would show up on here, and this graphic would change to show them as well. And we can also treat them from here, although you need to know what treatments you need, because it doesn't actually tell you. Well, it doesn't in certain situations. Right, so that's basically what's on this menu. We've still got the clock down in the right hand corner. In the clothing system, we'll talk about clothing. It's quite complicated. We'll talk about clothing in another video, but basically here you can control, you can change your clothing, you can swap what clothing you're wearing. If you have extra items of clothing, you can put different layers on and things like that to get a good benefit. You get a warmth bonus obviously from your clothes, you get a windproof bonus, which is the wind chill. You also get protection from animal attack, which obviously helps reduce your likelihood of injuries. And also your clothing has an effect on your sprinting capabilities. So clothing is all about finding a balance, which gives you what you need. So we'll talk about clothing in a different video, but this is basically the menu for it and what you can do. This is the key backpack menu. This is everything that you have in your inventory that you're actually carrying with you. You can leave items around the game world. You can carry up to 30 kilograms of things with you. That figure reduces when you become tired, so you could find that dropping as low as 15 kilograms when you're very, very tired. However, you can leave things behind in the game world. You can drop them into containers, you can just drop them on the ground, so you don't have to carry everything with you, and that's part of the key to gathering supplies and building up your resources in the long dark. But this shows what you actually have with you at the moment. It's broken down into different categories. So this is an overview. This is everything that we have. This section is to do with fire starting, so matches, firewood, tinder plugs, anything to do with fire starting is all listed in this menu. This one's to do with first aid, so that's any first aid supplies. This one's your clothing. This one's your food and drink. And this one's your tools and equipment. And down here you've got materials. So as you gather things from the game world, they will appear in here. Carrying up to a maximum of 30 kilos, and you have to drop things and manage all of that. You can do all sorts of different things from within this menu to all the various items that you've got. You can equip them, you can craft with them, you can eat and drink from here, and of course you can harvest and repair certain items as well. So if you harvest them, you'll get materials from them. If you repair them, you'll use materials to improve their condition. So that is all to do with resource management. Again, as you use items, their condition degrades, which means you eventually need to repair them. So that's how you access all of these different things. Again, we'll talk about those a bit more in depth in another tutorial. Crafting blueprints. This is relatively new, it never used to be done like this, but this shows you the various different things that you can craft, and it also shows you what you need to craft them. So to make an old man's beard wound dressing, which is a first aid supply made from the natural environment, we need 3 pieces of old man's beard lichen, and it's going to take us 15 minutes. So if we have those 3 pieces, we can begin crafting and we can make an old man's beard wound dressing. And the same goes for all these various different things. We can make a torch if we've got 3 sticks, a piece of cloth and some lamp oil. So this shows you the required materials, and this allows you to craft it, and that shows you how long it's going to take. So these are relatively simple things that you can craft anywhere. These ones are a bit more complicated. They need more materials, and you also need to be at a workbench in order to do it. We'll talk about crafting again in another video, but it's exactly the same thing. As long as you're at a workbench, you've got the tools that are needed, and you have the materials that are needed, you could go ahead and you could craft. And these are the forge blueprints. So if you go to a forge, again, you can make these various different things using these materials, those tools, once you've got the forge up and running. So this is basically where all your crafting information comes from. You also have access to your journal and your log. So this is where you can keep your own notes. As you progress through the game and you play the game, it will keep a log of what you're doing. So we're on day 1. Obviously, we want to get this as high as possible, as many days as we can. It tells you how much of the world we've explored, how many hours we've rested, what our condition range has been, and all that kind of stuff. And we can also make our own notes as we go along as well. So we can keep a nice little record of our playtime through the Long Dark. So if there's anything that you want to remember, like I left my rifle in camp office, you can write it in here and then you can come back and reference it. We also have the skills. As you carry out certain things, your skill at that action will gain points, and eventually you'll level up and you'll find it either more reliable, more successful, quicker, or various different bonuses as you progress up. So you'll skill up as you play through the game. These don't carry over from playthrough to playthrough. These are purely within the playthrough that you're currently playing, and they all reset back to the beginning again when you start a new game. Collections, these are basically just things that you find in the world. There's notes dotted around the world, there's cairns or cairns knocking around the world that you can find. So it's basically just little trophies. General notes, you can make general notes. The notes up here are related to the day that you're in. So these are general notes that you can write in. So it's actually might be better to write things like I left my rifle somewhere here, so you can reference it a little bit more easily. And you have your overall stats. You have your all-time stats and you have your sandbox stats. These all-time stats, I believe, may have reset when there was an update not that long ago. Or if I remember, I think they did, I think they reset. But anyway, it shows your all-time stats and your current playthrough stats. So you get plenty of information, so you can sort of look back at it on the future and have a look. And when your game ends, you can actually choose to save this journal, so you can look back at it if you want to. And you also have the navigation section, which again brings up the blank map, because we haven't drawn it yet. So when we come to draw the map, you'll see here are the various different regions and how they all fit together next to each other. There's Desolation Point, Crumbling Highway, which is the link section to Coastal Highway through the ravine, which leads to Mystery Lake, Coastal Highway through the winding river that goes to Pleasant Valley, which goes to Timberwolf Mountain, Mystery Lake across the railroad to Floor Muskeg, which goes to Broken Railroad, and there is Mountain Town, which is currently locked, so I assume that is going to be the magical Milton from Wintermute that link down into Mystery Lake. So that's the mapping system. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So that's the basic menu. There's one more little menu that I haven't shown you yet, which is this one. It's the quick reference menu. Basically, it just brings up the survival metrics at the bottom, your condition and the clock. You press the tab key. You only have to press it. You don't have to hold it, and it will come up for a certain amount of time. So it's just a quick way of seeing those very key stats. I have a habit, though, of just pressing and holding the space bar to get that information. However, that's pretty much it for the menu system. That was a little bit of a quick whip through, so I really hope that wasn't too fast for you and you've gained something from that. But if you do have any questions, any comments, drop them into the comments below and we'll have a look at them. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. If you need any extra advice or guidance, please do drop me a line. I'm very, very happy to help. I'd like to see as many people enjoying the game as possible. But that basically is the controls, and that is basically the menu system. So very, very simple starting point, how to move around and how to operate the various menus in the game. So next time round, we're going to start doing things. We're going to start having a look at the survival metrics and how to actually survive in the game, what you need to do to survive in the game. So we'll have a look at each of the 4 survival metrics, what effect they have on your condition, and what you need to do to keep each one of them good, and also what you need to do to build your condition back up when it drops. So that's what we're going to have a look at next time. But right now, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. Really hope you found it useful. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for some more videos, and I shall, as always, see you again very, very soon.